Hi, everyone. My name is John Kinney, and I'm with the National Sports Media Association. Today, I'm joined by the 2023 Michigan Sportscaster of the Year, Jennifer Hammond. Jennifer, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, I'm so happy to be with you, John. Thanks.
What does it mean to you to win the Michigan Sportscaster of the Year for 2023?
Well, certainly it is an honor for several reasons. First and foremost, I went through the list and looked that I'm the first female recipient of this award, which was really important to me as a woman in sports, a field that has largely and for a long time been dominated by men. It's really important, I think, for women to continue to break barriers and set goals and also find their voice in the sports arena as broadcasters and journalists, etc. And also because this is my 27th year working at Fox 2. I will celebrate my 28th anniversary coming up at the end of the year. And I think the fact that I've been doing this for so long and that people still are appreciative of the work that I put in, the stories I tell and share, it means a lot that this long into my career, there is still relevance to the stories and the people that I report on.
What made you want to get into sports journalism and sports broadcasting?
So ever since I was a little girl, literally my father gave me a tape recorder when I was about 5 years old, or he set it up on the counter right before dinner. And I picked up the microphone and said, "Hello, sports fans." So I think that at a much younger age than I even knew, it was kind of in my blood. It wasn't until I was probably 10, 11, 12 that I really started watching sports and caught the NFL on CBS, the pregame show with Brent Musburger, Irv Cross, and Phyllis George. And when I saw Phyllis George, I said, that's what I want to do. Look at a woman talking about football and presenting stories. She did a lot of feature stories. And from that point on, I just had it in my head that I wanted to be the next Phyllis George. And it was a dream that I pursued with a lot of passion and energy for a long time.
What does your day look like each and every day at Fox 2 Detroit as a sports reporter?
Yeah, so I'm so fortunate in that I have been in this market since 1994 at WDFN Radio first, which was the first sports talk radio station in Detroit. And then Fox 2 hired me freelance and part-time in 95. I started doing some of their feature pregame shows for the Lions and the Red Wings. And then they hired me full-time in 1997 as the number 3, which our department is set up pretty much like a traditional sports department of old, although not as many people are as fortunate to have 3 on-air full-time talent like we do here in Detroit. But we have Dan Miller, who is our lead anchor. Woody Woodruff is the number 2 anchor. He anchors weekends and reports 3 days a week. And then I'm traditionally a reporter 5 days a week. So I will do anything from a nighttime shift where I come into work around 2:30 or 3 in the afternoon and go to the Tigers clubhouse, get some interviews for our early shows, present those as stories at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And then I'll watch the game and cover the post game clubhouse and the manager's comments and put together a story for our 11 o'clock news. On Sundays during football season, I am heavily involved with the Detroit Lions pregame, postgame show that we do. Because we're a Fox affiliate, we carry the Lions on our air. So we have a really substantial commitment to presenting Lions football all throughout the year. So mostly I cover games and feature stories, golf events. I've covered Stanley Cups. It's really been a wild ride. And Detroit, as most people are starting to learn, is an incredible sports city.
What is it? How do you build a relationship with the coaches and players with the Lions and the Tigers?
So it's kind of cool because I'm now at the stage in my career where I've been covering the teams for so long that a lot of the players I covered have now come through as managers. As an example, Brad Osmus, who I covered as a player, was the Tigers manager about 6 years ago. Also, Dan Campbell, I covered him as a player here when he was here. It was a very short time as a Lions tight end, but I covered him and now he's the coach. And Steve Yzerman, I covered Steve Yzerman for a lot of his career and through the Stanley Cup runs in the 90s. And now he's back here as the general manager. So I do think that creates a great bond as far as they know who I am as a person and as a reporter. And I just also try to be myself. You know, I'm friendly. I know what my job is. I know what my role is. So I don't go beyond that and try to be their friend, but I'm a friendly person by nature. And I just try to, do everything with the most integrity that I can every day in my job so that people understand what they're going to get when they see me at practice or hear me in a press conference asking a question.
How important is it to build a relationship with your other colleagues that are covering the team?
Oh, hugely. It's interesting because, John, sometimes we say in the Detroit media that our coworkers are the people we sit in the press room with, not necessarily the people that I work with at Fox 2, because there's a lot of reporters and anchors here at the station that work in the morning that I never see, except for at a work function or event. But the people that are in that press room at the Lions, I see them very often. And Detroit is such a unique town. The people here are also friendly in the media. And for an example, there's a new woman that came to town just about a month ago from Washington, D.C., or Boston, actually. She's from D.C. originally and then was working in Boston. And we took her, some of the ladies on the Lions beat, we took her out to dinner the other night just to kind of get to know her as a human, on a human level. And it's really a great town. I enjoy people tremendously. I thrive on the vibration of sporting events and people being around me. And it's so satisfying to me when I can get along with everyone, in the room and
Uh,
learn from them.
yes. How did working as a receptionist and then getting your as your early career, how did that help you when getting your career started?
Well, so what's interesting about that little bit of time that I spent as a receptionist at WQLR and QSN, or was this in Chicago? Because there was a radio station I worked at in Chicago where I did everything. I was a Cubs monitor where I'd play the commercials, and one day the receptionist was off and I filled in for her. I just kind of did everything. So I think that helps you understand what goes on at a station. Everybody has a role. Everyone has an important job, and there are no jobs that are more significant than others, for the machine to work and for the wheels to turn. When I was in Chicago working as a receptionist at Studio One, I got to meet a lot of people in the business and industry, and that was actually where I had one of the advertisers that was coming in to shoot a commercial tell me that she had a friend at Shadow Traffic and that I could use her name as a reference to get a job there. And so that really launched my broadcast career in Chicago when I worked at Shadow Traffic. I knew that it wasn't going to be a direct line for me in the late 80s as a woman onto TV in sports at that point in time. Because if you'll remember, I mean, nowadays, it feels like there's a lot of women who are able to work for teams and the websites, and they have so many different, there are so many different roles, I think, for everyone, men, women, all the way around the board. But for me, it was really, it had to be a different kind of climb, so to speak. And I just was willing to do whatever it took to get on the air. And I told my story everywhere I went. I made sure people knew that I wanted to do sports. I was just doing traffic to get on air experience and also meet people in the business. And it turned out to be a great, great journey for me.
What does it mean to you to see Doris Burke getting to commentate as one of the first females to get to commentate the NBA Finals?
She's amazing. She's incredible. She's so knowledgeable. She's so good at her job. And one of the things that impresses me the most about her is she's not afraid to say what she doesn't know. Lisa Byington as well, who works for the Milwaukee Bucks, was also here in Metro Detroit in Lansing covering Michigan State when I covered MSU basketball and football as I cover it. And she has been an amazing trailblazer as well for women. I just think it further shows that we can do anything we set our minds to. And you do sometimes, as a woman, I feel, have to work twice as hard to, get your name out there and get established. But it's definitely a journey that's well worth it.
Did you have any mentors or any mentors that you talked to today that have helped you along your journey?
So I had one woman who really, Dana McDaniel, who was the first news director here at Fox 2 when I was hired in 1997. Actually, she was the assistant news director, and then she became the news director. She was a great mentor to me. I worked with her at CLTV in Chicago, and she kind of helped me get my foot in the door here at Fox. And it's interesting because I saw her just a couple of weeks ago at an event. She's in San Diego now, and she was in town for a friend's wedding shower. And I told her that she was a huge part of my journey, and she congratulated me on the award. And she said, "That's so cool that you got that." And I told her that I wouldn't be here without her. And she said, "All I did was give you an opportunity. The rest was on you." So even to this day, 30 years after it started at Fox 2 or in Detroit for me, she is still providing great information.
What advice would you give young journalists trying to pursue a career in sports broadcasting or sports journalism?
Well, one of the first things that I tell people when I speak to classes or any woman, man trying to pursue a career in any field is don't take no for an answer. One person's opinion on you and your work may not be the real deal. There may just be a certain reason that someone doesn't want to hire you, because I was told no at one radio station in Chicago, and then ultimately I ended up working there for the same person many years later. And also here at Fox 2, there was a news director prior to Neil Goldstein who ultimately hired me with Dana's, advice and suggestion, and he didn't want to hire me. So no doesn't mean you can't. And also never say no, do whatever you need to do. I worked free. I worked nights, I worked weekends, I worked 7 days a week just to always get my name out there, always keep pushing forward to get experience. Because there's no such thing as bad experience. You never lose, you either win or you learn. That's one of my favorite mantras from Nelson Mandela. And also I would tell people that you just need to be yourself, because it's such television and broadcasting in particular, I think, has changed a lot, whereas a lot of it is infotainment and entertainment driven. People don't know what they like what they know. And if they feel like they know you, you're going to be just fine in this business.
Thank you, Jennifer, for taking the time to speak with me. And again, congratulations on your 2023 National Sports Media Award.
Well, I am honored, and I just want to say on behalf of the National Sports Media Association, it is truly incredible to be part of such a distinguished group. I've looked at the list of names of those who have won this award before me, and I do not take it lightly how accomplished that list is and how grateful I am to be among them. And I will continue to work, and I'm just sorry that I can't join you all there for the celebration weekend, but I will have you in my thoughts for sure.
Thank you.